Welcome to HailState.com. I'm Bob Carskadon. For those who haven't heard of him, this is Scott Stricklin, the Director of Athletics at Mississippi State. I'm sure people are excited to meet you for the first time. Obviously, today's a big day, unveiling new uniforms from Adidas. You announced as well a new deal with Adidas running through 2020. I'll ask you, from the Mississippi State side of things, what makes this deal good? Well, why do you want to be partnered with Adidas?
Well, number one, they provide great service. You heard Coach Mullen and Coach Cohen, who are on hand for their uniform unveilings, talk about the incredible service. And both of those guys, as well as myself, have worked at other schools that had different apparel providers. And so, you know, when they say the service that they get from Adidas is really special, that's not just coach talk. I mean, they have something to compare it to. And we signed a deal with Adidas, started in 2009, and they have outperformed the contract, meaning that anytime we needed a new shipment of shoes or a new uniform or something, they didn't care whether it was written in the contract or not. They just provided it and have really been a great partner and have helped us grow our brand in the meantime, as our coaches have. You know, 4 straight bowl games, getting to the College World Series finals, fans selling out 30 straight games at Davis Wade. All those things helped to grow our brand, and I think because of that, Adidas saw an opportunity. A couple years ago, they started conversations to ask if we can extend the contract, and the new contract is much more beneficial for Mississippi State from a financial standpoint. Multiple times over, they were providing us some product. Now we're getting a lot of product along with some cash, and
I like cash.
Yeah, cash is good, and it just, you know, financially it helps us. I think Adidas is the strategy of having a limited number of schools. I think they have about a dozen schools in the major conferences, and focusing on service of those schools and really highlighting those schools really fits Mississippi State. It allows us to stand out, not be just one of many. You know, everybody else is doing this, so we'll go along with it. It allows us to be unique, and I think that's really important.
I'd say, well, it's interesting. You talk about the branding. You mentioned in the press conference portion that back in 2008, Adidas was really the only major provider who came after Mississippi State. In the years since, that brand obviously has grown. I mean, have you felt that? Have you seen that? You don't have to talk about if there's interest from other people, but it seems like it's. Well,
you know, you obviously see it in ways like our licensing numbers, which have grown about 50% in the last few years, university-wide. So, yeah, I mean, I think our brand is much stronger. We actually, the way the contract was written, there was an exclusive negotiating period, and Adidas was smart to try to start these relationships before that window closed, in which case we could have talked to anybody. But and that's good business on their part. The thing we try to do to make sure we protect Mississippi State is we really are aware of what other schools' apparel rights deals are worth, and we understand, I think, have a really good sense of what our value is, and we wanted to make sure we got paid for what our value is. And I was really pleased when Adidas really didn't take a whole lot of convincing. They saw the value too, and we were able to get to a point that I think is very fair for us, and it's going to allow us to have some resources that we've not had in the past.
And these new uniforms today are a good example of some of the unique things Mississippi State and Adidas are able to do together. They seem to like having Mississippi State to do some of that, and on your end, it seems to be something you're for. And you know that these are super flashy. I mean, they're, you know, similar to the 1990s uniform. But is that idea of maybe doing some experimentation, doing fun things, pretty easy for you? Yeah,
you know, I don't ever want us to become tired or stale, and you know, to me, uniforms are a way that it keeps things interesting. There's a certain segment of our fan base who couldn't care less, but there's another segment that is very passionate about everything uniforms, and I think it's good. I think recruits like it. You hear that kind of feedback all the time, and I think there's something to that. They notice when you're wearing the same thing over and over versus you're willing to mix it up and you're willing to take chances. And the other thing is, I think as a school and as an athletic department, we need to be willing to take chances and to do things a little differently and to stand out. And you know, in some small way, uniforms allow you. It almost creates a mindset. You know, when you wear shiny gold helmets on national TV on Thanksgiving night, that's part of that whole uniform package. You know, that's something you do that gets attention, but you got to be willing to stand out there and say, yeah, we're going to do this. This is who we're going to be tonight. And the other thing is, you know, we got a lot of young coaches, and they tend to like these kind of things. They like change. They like trying to be aggressive, and John's that way, and Dan's that way, and Rick Ray, and Ginger, and Van, and all of them like kind of being out there on the edge with it. And the same time, you want to be true to our tradition and our past, and I think the vintage uniforms we unveiled in both football and baseball today do a good job of balancing those things.
And obviously, these uniforms, they're not the result of someone sticking a picture on your desk and you rubber stamp it. It's a little bit more involved than that. Could you walk us through maybe the process, and your involvement and everyone's involvement of how these happen?
Well, if people like the uniforms, I'm really involved. And if they're not as popular, I had nothing to do with it. I'm kidding, obviously. You know, Adidas, and sometimes an idea will originate from Adidas. Sometimes it may originate from somebody in our staff. And sometimes it's a combination of different ideas and kind of come to the forefront. And it's a lengthy process. You know, Scott Weatherby on our staff is our immediate contact with Adidas, and obviously he's tied in the marketing side as well. But he'll show me a lot of ideas, and sometimes I'll say, no, we don't need to. We need to stop design on that. Or, you know, if we change this, I might be okay with it. Or, man, I really like that. Let's keep pursuing this. Mm-hmm. And so it's a balance. And the same thing is Adidas is a company trying to make money, and so a lot of the new uniforms we wear are highlighting new techniques or new technology that they have, whether it's the kind of fabric or the way they design it or light, fast shoes or whatever it is. And so a lot of times they bring us stuff, and the look is important, but the product is even more important because they want to see our coaches and our student athletes wearing those things so they can get exposure for them.
There you go. All right, Scott Stricklin, Mississippi State Athletic Director. Appreciate you hanging out with us
Thank
on
you, Bob.
HailState.com. All right, with the new uniforms officially unveiled, I'm here with Mark Daniels, Director of Football for Adidas. You're kind of a big deal. You don't have to say it. I'll say it for you. But good to talk to you, good to catch up with you. I wanted to talk to you about the relationship between Adidas and Mississippi State. And I think we know a lot about what Mississippi State gets out of it, and we'll get to that. But I'm curious from the Adidas side, what does Adidas like about MSU? Why do they want to be a partner with MSU?
Well, I'm going to start talking about the relationship we have with the administration, starting with Scott Stricklin, the coaches, Coach Cohen, Coach Mullen, but all the coaches across all the sports as we do everything here, and then really the relationship we have with the student athletes. From the top to the bottom, we have a great working relationship with those guys. We use this to test out products from a wear testing, from a style perspective, because, you know, as Scott mentioned, or I think it was Dan mentioned today, it's look good, feel good, play good to those 18 to 22-year-old kids. So, you know, we bring the best level product to the teams, but we also want them to feel like they've got the best looking stuff out there. So we really focus on that from a relationship perspective with the athlete.
I was going to ask what those interactions are like when you're talking about new uniforms, new ideas.
Yeah.
Are coaches all for that? I mean, what's the interaction there?
Well, the players are all for that, absolutely. And Dat came by today. We met with the baseball team yesterday, so we directly interact with the players on that. They obviously want anything new they can get, and they want to make bold statements. Coaches like it from a recruiting perspective. Administrators have to balance what the kids want versus what the alumni wants. And if you look at a school like Mississippi State that has a lot of rich heritage and tradition, you have to stay within certain guardrails. So we respect the heritage and the tradition of the university, but we modernize it in a very cool way with new technologies that I think blends the best of both worlds for the kids.
You know, people ask me sometime about the new uniforms. They'll say, did Adidas do that, or Scott Stricklin, or Dan Mullen, or John Cohen? And I say, yes, all of the above, basically. Yeah. The example with this new uniform, obviously, yes. They've said it's going off that 1990s look that MSU had. What is kind of the timeline there for a new uniform, and what's the process like from your end?
It's 18 to 24 months depending on the situation, and it starts, we've got a great design team back in Portland, and they dive deep into the details and the heritage, the traditions of the school, what's relevant in the marketplace with the kids, blend those two together, and then we actually meet with the coaches, with the administration, and even with a couple of the athletes themselves, and it truly is a team effort to bring it to fruition, but we have a pretty good starting point from our design team in Portland to get it kicked off.
Sounds good. Now, so from the MSU side, I guess you can pitch to me a little bit.
Okay.
What does Mississippi State get out of the Adidas relationship?
I think what Mississippi State gets out of the relationship is wearing the absolute best gear out there. And we are a product-driven company at Adidas. We believe that our goal, our job, is to make this athlete better than that athlete, this team better than that team. So whether that's our Adi 0 5-star cleat that in the football world is 3 ounces lighter than anything else out there, so you make your athletes faster, to the Tech Fit jersey that we just unveiled today, that's a true compression fit, tighter, lighter, you can't get a hold of it, what you can't grab, you can't tackle, that's more first downs, more touchdowns, more wins. We think we help make Mississippi State a better athletic program.
Well, you talk about all that stuff. On the other side of it, not so much things for the team, but guys like me who aren't 300 pounds, 6'4", whatever it may be. How much of what's the level of importance, I guess, to y'all for producing things for the fans?
Oh, it's huge. And I think that's one of the very interesting things with Mississippi State. I mean, Super Bulldog Weekend is probably the best example of that across the country. Where else are you going to get a spring football game, a doubleheader baseball game in the same day when you're going to get thousands, tens of thousands of people in the stands lined up around that? So we celebrate that tradition. We help bring that tradition to life. Like right now, as we're talking right now, the social space, Instagram, Twitter, they're alive with the images that we're putting out there, and we're driving that relevancy back to the high school kid from a recruiting perspective.
There you go.
But you know, there's a lot of fan base that gets very active in this too. And we'll have some people that will say, why do we change uniforms? But I think the way we do it with respect to the institution, it gives us the latitude that we make everyone happy with that.
Now, I can't let you get out of here. You mentioned Super Bulldog Weekend. Have you been before for one?
I have. I wasn't able to come last year. 2 years ago I was here. The left field lounge was phenomenal. I sat up on Phil's milk truck and had him barbecue up. It was fantastic.
Right on. Well, hey, thank you very much for chatting with us, and thanks for hanging out with us on HailState.com.
Thank you.
All right, next up on HailState.com, Todd Rolak, the Director of Design for Adidas in America. I kind of mangled that title a little bit.
That's
but
all right.
The point is,
you're
you're one of the very important designers at Adidas. We'll say it that way.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to talk to you. I know your focus and your involvement with these uniforms, a lot to do with the cleats.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're hearing it's a 12 to 24-month process. I mean,
Sure.
it really goes a long way back. When you start this, are you starting from scratch? Do you have something to work with and you
Yes, sir.
mutate it? What's the process like?
Well, product design, it starts with making the athlete better. We love to do that. And with the cleats, it is a 12-month process. But once we finish the product design, then we partner and work with the university to get those specific details that are, make the athlete better looking.
Yeah, I'm curious. What's the balance in there of making it look flashy, making it look good, but then also having it be at that optimum level of effectiveness?
Performance is key. We to the highest level. That's the starting point. But look good, feel good, play good. All athletes, every stage of their game want that right now. So that's on our shoulders to come in and deliver what the athlete wants.
Sounds good. Now, big picture, I'll say we've debuted 2 uniforms today, one baseball,
right.
one football.
That's right. They're both awesome, by the way.
How many redesigns and how many different meetings and everything go into getting to what we finally saw today?
It is a back and forth process so that everyone at the table is happy with the final product, and working closely together with the university is paramount. So a back and forth of a couple times isn't unheard of, but it is a process in and of itself that it goes up to the highest level of the university, that everything is dialed in right.
Now, this is a little bit off topic, but it relates to MSU.
Sure.
You told me you're from Michigan.
That's right.
You live in Portland.
That's right.
And your 7-year-old son, for no apparent reason, is a huge Mississippi State fan. What's the story behind that?
Massive fan, loves the helmet, wants to come here. And that's a testament to the Mississippi State brand, to a 7-year-old in the Pacific Northwest to want to be attending this university. It's a testament to I guess the work that we're doing, but the work that you're doing as well.
Well, sounds good. And now, with Mississippi State, you've got maroon and white, and then that's about where it ends.
Yep.
The creative process, you have to
Well,
get
we're
those
working in
juices
gold.
flowing a little
We're
bit.
working in gold for
There you go.
for the egg bowl and whatnot. But rolling out the maroon carpet last night at Coach Schaefer's house. The family atmosphere. I know this is kind of, I'll tie it in, but the family atmosphere down here is what we like. And working together with the university to pull inspiration from the university to infuse into the product is what makes our job fun.
There you go. I like that. Well, thank you very much for chatting with us. I appreciate it. And thanks for hanging out on HailState.com.